Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Ross Reviews. Today we are checking out this 2007 F6 R-Spec. With only 300 of these cars ever made, these are becoming incredibly rare and personally just one of my all-time favorite Falcon models. This thing just looks so aggressive. The front end on this thing is just so good. This particular one is not stock. This one has been done up quite extensively. It's pushing out now around 507 wheel horsepower and about 680 pound-foot of torque. This thing is a torque monster, and it's going to be a lot of fun to drive today. Driving this BF F6 R-Spec edition, this car is just, it's one of my all-time favorites, and the R-Spec did receive a few nice little goodies. So basically, from the stock engine perspective, it didn't get anything, so all of these BF F6s basically had the same power all the way up until the F6 310 came out. But what this car did receive was it had the R-Spec suspension upgrade, so this thing did get much better suspension, so it did feel a lot tighter, didn't have nearly as much body roll. It did get slightly wider 8-inch wide tires, so just again helped the handling a little bit. And then it did get a few factory upgrades as well, with the leather seats in here. It had R-Spec floor mats, and just, yeah, obviously the badging and stuff. Now just going over some of the modifications to this car. The list is pretty extensive. This car's got a bigger turbo, it's got a cold air intake, the injectors have been upgraded, the gearbox has had a little bit of work done to it just as well, larger intercooler, and an FG intake manifold has been fitted. Now all of this has been tuned, it's been put on the dyno, and it is cranking out a whopping 507 horsepower to the wheels and over 680 pound-foot of torque. That is just a huge number, and yeah, this car is a torque monster for sure. Now even from factory, these cars had a lot of go. So from factory, they were claimed at about 362 horsepower and about 406 pound-foot of torque. And that was a really healthy number. Now the car is actually running an aftermarket set of 19-inch wheels. They do actually look really nice, though I am a massive fan of the stock twist wheels these got. I really do love the way they looked. Now these BF F6s were first launched back in 2005, and these cars actually introduced the ZF gearbox. So prior to that, in the BA F6 range, you could only get these spec'd out as a manual, and unfortunately in that time period as well, the cars were just too powerful. In a lot of tests they did on those original F6s, they actually got disqualified from Motor Magazine's Car of the Year because they blew too many clutches. And FPV pretty much blamed the problem as just saying that these cars were too powerful. So they took the car off production for about 6 months, sorted out the problem, came back out with the BF range with the ZF gearbox, and this car won Motor Magazine's Performance Car of the Year for 2006. So it just goes to show you how good this car actually was when it came out, and this gearbox as well was just phenomenal. You never get tired of that. I'll tell you what, you will never get tired of that amazing pull. That is just, it's so addictive. Now these BF F6s really changed the game here in Australia, especially when they came out with the ZF gearbox. You know, they tweaked up the issues they had with the BA, and, you know, coming out here in Australia with this glorious 4-liter inline-6 Turbo Barra, you know, everything else before that was pretty much a V8, and this really did change the game. And, you know, the power this thing can make, you know, with minor money thrown at it, it's just one of the hardest pulling cars out there. And in my mind, it's always been, this is one of the greatest engines Australia's ever made. And the fact as well that it's all Aussie, engineered here, designed here, built here, just a tribute, you know, to how good the motor industry was back in that time period. You just ease on that throttle, and oh my goodness. Now the seating position, again, the seats are excellent, really comfortable. You do sit, however, a little bit high, and that is just pretty much in any Ford. The seating position is always a little bit high, but it does give you a great view of everything around this car. So it is quite easy to see, you know, everything around you. There isn't that many blind spots, so that is a pretty good thing. Now let's get into the 5 questions here. So we'll just put it into performance mode. Now we always start off with sound, so just sending it a bit here. Holy shit. Wow. Yeah, this thing pulls. Holy crap. You can really feel actually the whole car almost lift off as it takes off. And that wasn't even to the floor there. It's got a 3.5-inch exhaust, 4-inch dump pipe, and my goodness, it actually sounds really nice. And then you've actually got that turbo flutter as well when you let off. So my goodness, this is a good sounding rig, and holy crap, she pulls. Now, practicality. Well, this car is actually pretty good. You know, this car is large, you know, it's a 4-door sedan, it's very comfortable, plenty of room in the back seats, you know, easily can fit 5 adults in this car. Got plenty of room in the boot as well. Now, even on your fuel economy, I think this was claimed at about 12 liters per 100 Ks, but, you know, expect to be around the 13 to 15 K mark, you know, if you're gonna drive it normally. And even just for your daily wise, you know, the ZF gearbox, it feels really nice and smooth. You know, you've got dual climate control in this thing, cruise control. You know, it is just quite a comfortable car to drive, and these Falcons were just built for long open road trips. So, you know, this thing just loves the open road, and it's just a great, great cruiser. Now, price. Well, if you were after a standard BF F6, you were going to pay about the $60,000 mark. And, you know, for what the car is, I think that was really good value. Now, if you went to the R-Spec like this one, again, you know, it was a limited run. Only 300 of these were made. This was actually only a couple grand more. And the fact that you got so many upgrades for that, it really does kind of blow my mind how Ford really undersold the price of this, really. You know, I believe the R-Spec from new, it only costs about $63,000 or $65,000. And, you know, considering you can get a standard one for, you know, just over 60, this was a bargain. Now on the used market, trying to get even a standard BF F6 here, you're going to look around that $20,000 mark. You know, if you're going to get the most pristine, clean R-Spec edition, I've seen prices upwards of like $30,000. So, you know, these cars are getting increasingly more and more expensive, and really starting to become a collector's car because they just really are hard to find nowadays, and especially in good condition. Now, handling. Well, this is where you really wanted to get an R-Spec, because the standard F6s, they were a little bit soft in the suspension. So, you know, they did have quite a bit of body roll. This particular one, you know, being the R-Spec model, it did get that upgraded suspension, and I can really feel the difference. You know, you go around these bends and the car really does feel a lot more flat. You know, having those wider tires again just add to that stability, and the car just feels really nice. You know, this is a larger car. This car weighs in at about 1.7 ton, and but it doesn't really feel like it. You know, when you go around these corners here, the car actually does feel quite nimble. The steering is pretty good. You know, it's not the sharpest steering out there, but you know, for what it is, you know, this is a large sedan. It's really nice, and the weight of the wheel, it does have a nice little weight to it as well. This car really does just effortlessly cruise around these B roads, goes around the corner just really nicely, and again, it just drives beautifully. And the fact that this car is, you know, the age it is, it really does blow my mind. Now, these cars also did get factory Brembos, so they've got great stopping power. You know, they get no brake fade. So it's just a really nice addition, because this thing will go bloody quick, and it is nice to have that Brembo stopping power up front. Now, the cool thing about this car is, what I really like about sort of older cars is that there's no kind of like sport mode, or like, you know, you got to hold the traction control button down for 6 seconds and, you know, slam on the brake pedal. There's none of this garbage. It's just, you've got all the power all the time, and basically the only thing this car has sort of is it's got a performance mode, and that basically just changes the characteristics of the gearbox. So when you put it into the performance mode, it will hold the gears out a little bit longer. It'll be a little bit more aggressive on the changes. So it's just nice to know that, you know, even in your standard normal drive, you've always got all that power just available and ready to go. Just going around these hairpins again, it just really does hold itself really well. And my goodness, you know, there is no shortage of power in this beast. It just feels really nice. The sound of it as well, it's just, what a weapon this thing is. Now, 0 to 100. Now, just put them up on this back road. I'm just gonna roll onto it here first, because this thing just, it's got a lot of power, and I'm really afraid that just doing a 0 to 100 is just gonna not give us a real true estimate, because it's just gonna start spinning and go all over the place. So, just rolling onto it here, we're going about 10 Ks an hour. It's in performance mode, and I'm just gonna let the car do its thing. So, yeah, 3, 2, 1. $100. And even right there, you could tell that the traction control was really starting to have to fight the car, because it has just got so much torque, this car. And my goodness, like, the pull on this car, it is just so addictive. It is just ridiculous. My goodness, this is just unbelievable, this car. It is so much fun. Now, this car is just so goals for my F6 I've just got. So this is what we need. This is exactly what we're going to try and achieve. And man, it feels good to drive one that's already sorted out like this. And again, just rolling onto this thing. Holy crap! My God, I can't even get to the floor. It's just got that much pull, and you can just feel the back end just start to wander that ever so slightly, and then the whole car really kicks you back. It is just, my goodness, this thing is epic. Oh, it is just violent, this car. Wow. It's not so much, I think, the 0 to 100 that gets you. It's going from that like 60 to 100, like 60 to 120, 60 to, it just gets there so bloody quick. And you really got to be paying attention in a car like this. But anyways, guys, I'm going to finish the video off here today. So a massive, massive thank you to the owner for allowing me to take out his pride and joy, this BF Mark II F6 R-Spec. This is seriously car goals, and the power figures, the way this thing drives, it is just an absolute beast, and I just love it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this review. Hope you guys learned something. If so, please remember to hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you're new here, and we'll see you on that next video.